Welcome to Chapter 4, Counting with Crosstabs. You're going to be introduced to the crosstab function, which is similar to the pivot table method, which was just covered in the previous chapter. So the way we use crosstab is going to look fairly similar to pivot table, and it can actually produce a lot of the same results, but there is a specific task that crosstab is really good at, and that's counting the occurrences in a cleaner way with more functionality. So counting occurrences is what value counts does, but this will put it into a pivot table and add more functionality, as you will see. All right, so we're going to use a different data set here, the mental health data set. This is a series of questions that were asked employees that worked at tech companies about their mental health. So you can see here 1,091 rows. So every row represents a single employee and their responses and a little bit of personal information about them. The data dictionary will help you decode what this is. So family history just equates to this question. Do you have a family history of mental health, right? So not all of them worked for a tech company, but most of them did, I believe. And so yeah, all of these are questions and these are their responses. And you can see the exact question over here. All right, so before we go further, I want to convert some of these columns into categorical. And one quick way to determine MH, mental health, is to see the number of unique values in each column. So if we know we have a low number of unique values, then it's probably a good idea to convert it to categorical. So all of these from gender onward are like that. So we're going to convert them. First, we're going to select them, so not just the one column, so gender onward. We're just going to convert them all to category and just use nominal. We're not going to worry about an ordering. These don't really have a ordering. Maybe number of employees does, but the others really don't have any inherent ordering. So they're not going to be an ordinal variable. We're going to treat them as a nominal categorical variable. And then we're just going to overwrite these columns. We're just going to reassign these columns like this, and this way we can see that they have now been changed to category. All right, so the crosstab function is going to help with this frequency of occurrence, and just as a little review, we could just look at, say, the country. Normally we do this with value counts. If we have multiple, let's do country and gender. Use a list over here. You can even do 3, right? So it doesn't matter how many you can do. You can do count all the unique occurrences. So this helps you just count value counts. But what crosstab does will pivot one of these columns so that it's just easier to read. And so I'm going to show that in a little bit. Just a quick review here of, you can do this with group by as well. So here we go, country dot ag, let's do num, call it, and here it doesn't matter what we choose, we just say gender and size, right? So you can use group by, we talked about that, although value counts is the better way to go over here. And again, you can do multiple columns like this, and this will give you the exact same results as over here. So one thing that actually is different is that you will get these counts of 0. So even though this has never occurred in the data frame, there is no France female combination. Just one little thing here to show you. See this observed. If you say observed equals false or true, sorry, that means only the ones that are observed. This is if you have a categorical variable, will show up in the result. So just something if you don't want that to appear as 0, although I would say it's helpful here just because all the other ones have 2 genders except for France. So that might be helpful to show. Again, you can use pivot table. So I'm showing you all the old ways again. So this is just a little bit of a review. So we can say index equals country, columns equals gender, values. Actually, we don't need, just for the for pivot table, you can just do ag func equals size. So this gives you a nice display like this. So that's great. Now on to the new stuff. So how can we replicate this with crosstab? So unfortunately, crosstab is a function and not a method. So if you try to find it over here, it's not going to pop up. You need to call pd.crosstab. And then it has a lot of the same, actually it has a lot of the same parameters over here, index, columns, values, ag func. So here index, you cannot give it a string, of the column name like country. What you have to do is give it the column itself. So I'm going to pass it in the series. So I'm going to say country and columns. I'm going to say gender like this. Now, crosstab's specific purpose is to count. So you don't have to say ag func equals size. That is the default for crosstab. And so here we go. So we get, this is the result that we've been looking for this whole time. So this is what this video is all led up to, is this table right here. So it's a little bit simpler to get. You don't have to say size. You just do pd.crosstab, give the two columns that you're trying to count, and you'll get this result. So you're thinking, all right, well, what's the big deal? I can just use pivot table for that. Well, that is true. What crosstab does is gives you relative frequencies. This is just like value counts gives you relative frequencies. So let me show you that. So value counts of country shows the raw counts by default, but if you set normalize to true, you actually get these, frequencies, and multiplying by 100 will give you the percentages, right? So 65.7% of the participants are from the United States. We can do that here. We can say normalize, and you can normalize across the rows, down the columns, or overall. So I'll show you how this works. So go down here to normalize, and if we say, we'll just say index first, and let me round this to 3 decimals and multiply by 100. So it's going to normalize over the index. That means horizontally. So what this is saying is the rows will add up to 100%. So it's saying of the participants in Australia, 76.2% are male, and it can help to see the raw data again like this, right? So we have 21 people total, 16 are male. That means 76.2% are male. For Canada, 79.4% are male. France is all male for this one. So that's pretty cool. You can change it to columns. So this will normalize over the columns. That means the columns will add up to 100%. So this is saying of the male participants, so of those that are male, 2.8% are from the Netherlands. 62.9% are from the United States. So that's what I wanted to show. And then if you can change it to all. So it says of all the participants, 3.8% are male from Germany, like out of all of them, right? So out of all of them, 1.3% are from Canada and female. Okay, so this is the reason to use crosstab, is this normalize parameter. It allows you to do this over, across the rows, up and down the columns, and over the entire data frame. So I find this very cool feature when I have a lot of categorical variables and I want to, do some counting with them and seeing different percentage breakdowns. So, yeah, you can also find the margins. So let me show that. We did this with pivot tables as well. You can set margins to true, and so this is saying, this is for this entire row, 1.9% are from Australia, 6.2% are from Canada, and then same thing over here, and then the total will add up to 100%. I could do this with saying across the index, like this. So this type, we only get this margins up and down. These we know will be 100% like that. So some different combinations you can put together using normalize and margins equals true. All right, so that is what crosstab is. Let me show you one more example, actually. So let me look at here, and I can even, let me add the year. So there are a couple of years, I believe. So now I'm going to do a crosstab. Yeah, so there's 2 years in the survey. So now for the index, I am doing country and year. I'm still normalizing across the rows, the index over here, and I'm just adding a margin down below over here. So you can, again, have multiple columns that you are grouping together, or put them over here as well. I could have just as easily move this over here, just so you can see that. So I can, pivot it around like that as well. So all these different combinations of counting and really normalizing it either across the rows, up and down the columns, or overall.